So the main reason I'm here today because I got contacted by Tim. If you don't know who Tim is, he is the guy who made everything here happen. So thanks very much, Tim. I know this is very difficult to set up, but you made it all happen. So thanks for having us here. Basically, Tim contacted me asking me if I wanted to come to this conference. So the first question I asked, what do you want me to talk about? So he said he can talk about anything related to hacking. So I was like, okay, I'll think of something and I'll be back to you. Then the next day, Tim texted me, giving me the title of the topic. So he's telling me that this is going to be talked, you spent all this money and you still got hacked. So I got very confused. I was like, you said I can do anything I want, and then you gave me a title. Well, to be fair, he actually then told me I can pick another title, but I really like the title. It narrows down what we can talk about, but it's also a very realistic situation, and it gave me a lot of ideas to show off in here. So I stuck with the title, and based on this title, we can see that it's limiting us to a few things. So first of all, it's limiting us that the target system is going to be completely secure. So we know this doesn't really happen in real life scenarios. There's always a way to get in. But for the sake of this topic, we're going to assume that our target is completely secure, completely patched, using the latest and the greatest hardware and software. So we basically cannot hack into the target without using the server and the software installed. So if you go ahead and ask anybody, any person who's been working in pen testing and in hacking for a while, they're going to tell you to exploit the weakest link, which is a very confusing statement. But if you just go and look what the weakest link in security is, it's the humans. So it's the people that use these systems that you spent a lot of money on. Now, Kevin Metnick is a very famous hacker. And this is what he said. He said companies spend a lot of money on securing their infrastructures, firewalls, and everything. Now, we're not saying that they're useless. You need them. But they will not protect your weakest link. So you could spend a lot of money on your hardware and software, installing the latest and greatest software for security and firewalls. And at the end of the day, your employees are still vulnerable. So you have the people that use these systems, you have the friends of these people, you have the companies that your employees interact with, and this goes into layers and layers and layers. So it's similar to an onion. We want to get to the core of it, and we can peel these layers one by one, exploiting one person at a time. Now, you'd be surprised by how many people will literally give you very sensitive information if you just ask them or approach them in the correct way. Some background about me: before college, before I studied computer science, I worked in a sales job. So we used to knock on doors, sell an internet to people. Now this was a huge international telecommunication company that I worked with. The deal we used to give was faster internet, cheaper price. So everybody goes for it. It's a no-brainer. The only problem is, at the end, once we sign them up, we fill the application, we have to ask for their credit card information, so the payment gets taken from their account every month. Now, I used to lose about 50% of my customers when I ask them for their credit card information, because the main thing they say, I don't want to give my credit card information to someone who's just knocking on my door. Now, I had an ID issued by this really big telecommunication company with my picture on it, with my unique employee number. And I also used to show them my actual government-issued ID, again with my picture, address, and everything. So they can take photos of this, they can copy it, and if I steal anything, they can get back to me. So it's very easy to trace me back. Again, most people felt that they don't really want to give me this information, so I used to lose 50% of my customers, and I was only commission-based. So basically, I used to lose 50% of my salary. So one of the times I sat back and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to approach them in a different way and ask for the credit card information in a different way. So if they say, no, I don't want to give it, I say, okay, I don't even say anything more, go back home. The next day, I give the application to a friend of mine who also works in the same company, in the same position. This person is not my boss, it's not a higher person in the company, they do the exact same job. What she would do is she'll call that customer, But she'll pretend, she won't say that she's a boss. She'll just act as if she's a boss or a person with authority in that company. So she'll ask them how well I did. She'll tell them that Zaid was at your door. He signed you up for this internet. Is that correct? They'll say, yeah, that was correct. She'll ask them how nice was I? Was I polite? All that kind of stuff. So it seems like she's checking if I did my job properly. Now, a lot of these people will feel sorry for me because they see, oh, this boss maybe is trying to fire his employee and he's checking if that employee is doing well. Then, when the credit card information part is reached, she'll tell them, oh, and it looks like Zaid forgot to ask you for your credit card information. Can I get your credit card number? And guess what? 90% of people gave it. To this girl that's calling from a number that is an unknown number. They did not see her ID, they did not see her face, they don't know what her real name is, and they forgot to give it to me with a real ID, with my face on the IDs, with everything, and they can track me. Why? Because she approached them in a way that she made them feel they have to give her that information. She's entitled for this information, and they gave it. So everybody has something that makes them tick. Some people will feel that they're being rude if they don't give you what you're asking. Some people will feel that they have to give you this because you have authority. Some people will think that if you put them on the spot, they'll feel shy and they'll just fill it out even though they think they shouldn't do that. Which leads me to this video. It's a very short video, but I think it proves a point very well. Now, this is taken from the Jimmy Kimmel show. Basically on Cybersecurity Day, they went on Hollywood, literally asking people for their passwords. And if people say why, they'll tell them, well, we just want to see if your password is secure or not. Let's see how this went.
What is one of your online passwords currently?
It is my dog's name and the year I graduated from high school.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Chihuahua Papillon.
And what's his name?
Jameson.
Jameson. And where did you go to school?
I went to school back in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What school?
Hempfield Area Senior High School.
Oh, when did you graduate?
In 2009.
Oh, great.
So you mean to give my password right now? No, I cannot do that.
But we all want to know what it is so we can tell you if it's strong.
So this person is refusing to give it at the start, which is good.
Oh my goodness. Let me think. Okay, one is Tel Aviv. Yeah. 468. And then Israel. It's only 3, but it's for me it's strong enough.
So again,
Ireland, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gemma. 1, 2, 3.
Spell G-E-M-M-A.
Well, most of them are Italian.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so like
What's a good Italian password?
my grandma's name,
What's your grandma's name?
Maria.
Maria. So Maria is your password?
Oh yeah, I know my password.
Then he finally realizes that he just spilled out the password. So, as you can see, literally just putting them on the spot, they're given the password straight away. Now, I'm not here to tell you that hackers are going to do that. They're just going to contact you and ask for your password. But I'm just trying to get this idea across. So, let's get real. Let's actually talk about a real-life scenario of how hackers can exploit employees and get into a company. So, we're going to assume the target is zSecurity, my own company. And we're going to, again, assume that it's completely secure. I spent a lot of money on my data center, even though I didn't, and I still got hacked. So the first stage is always information gathering. You want to gather as much information as possible about that company, about the employees' friends, about the people that these employees interact with, and so on. So what we're going to do, we're going to use a tool called Maltego. Now there are a lot of tools that you can use for information gathering. We're using this tool because it's really nice. It actually has a graph that we can manually put the information on the graph. Then we can actually zoom out and look at all the information that we gathered so far and come up with a really strong attack strategy that is engaging to our target and that it has a high probability of them communicating with us and doing what we're asking them to do. So right here we have the website, the target website, which is zsecurity.org. So we're literally just going to copy that and plot it in our graph. Now before we start gathering any information here, if we go back, you'll see we can also see an email for our target, So again, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to drag and drop an email entity, and I'm going to set that to the email that I just discovered, which is info@zsecurity.org. I'm also going to establish a link between the domain and the email because we already know that they're linked. We got the email from the domain. And I'm going to right click the domain, and as you can see, I have a number of categories that I can use to gather information about this specific entity. So I'm going to go to Patir Bakats, and I'm going to go to DNS, and I'm going to try to discover the MS record related to this domain. And as you can see, we get a number of MX records used by this domain. Now, I'm going to remove all of them and just keep one because they're all similar and they all give us the same piece of information, which is basically telling us that the zSecurity is using Google as their mail server. Now, we can go back to the entity, right click it, and I'm going to try to discover the NS records. Again, we get two identical entities. We'll delete one of them, but the other one is very useful too because it's telling us that the target domain is using Cloudflare. Again, going back to the main entity, and this time I'm going to go back and I'm going to look for emails related to this domain. And as you can see, we only get one email, which is actually not useful because if you read it, you'll see it's abuse@name.com. So basically, we're getting this email because the target domain is using whoisprivacy. It might seem that this information is not useful, but it's actually very useful because it's telling us that the target is using name.com to host their domain name. Now, I'm actually done with getting information from this domain, so I'm going to right click it and convert it to a website. So now we have a website entity related to our target domain. So it's www.zsecurity.org. And from here, when we right click it, we can gather even more information. So I'm going to try to discover external links related to my target website. And as you can see, I'll get a number of results. I'll remove the useless ones and just keep the useful results. And we'll end up with links related to this website on social media. So let's start with the first one here. If we double click it and go to properties, you will see we have a link to our target's website Facebook page. We can verify this if we copy it and paste it in the browser. You'll see we'll get their Facebook page, so we know this is definitely related to our target. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to look for a Facebook page entity. I'm going to put it in my graph, and I'm going to put its ID and its URL from the entity that I just got, and I'm going to call it zSecurity Facebook. And I'm going to delete the link that I got and just manually add a connection between the two. I'm doing this because Maltego for some reason was not able to know that this is a Facebook link. So it was able to know that this link is related to zSecurity, but it wasn't able to know that it's a Facebook link. So I'm gonna right click it and we're gonna look for Facebook page likes. So these are people that like this particular Facebook page, and you'll get a lot of results, but you can see that we have one interesting name, which is Zaid Sabih. Now, so far, we haven't seen this name anywhere else, and if you don't know me, then this name might not be very significant to you, but if you continue your information gathering, you'll see that this name will show in multiple places. Let's move to the next entity that we got when we looked for external links, which is the Twitter entity. And again, if we double click this and go to the properties, you'll see the URL of the Twitter page of our target. I'm going to do exactly what I did with the Facebook page. I'm going to manually add a Twitter entity. I'm going to delete the one we have, link it, and put the Twitter page link and user ID in here. And I'm going to call this zSecurity Twitter. Click OK. And let's right click it and see what information we can get. I'm going to look for Twitter friends. And perfect, as you can see, again, we get a number of companies related to our target. And like I said, if you pretend to be one of these companies and communicate with your target with zSecurity, then there is high chances that they will actually communicate with you because they are already friends with these companies. Also, like I said, you'll see the name Zaid popping up again here as a Twitter friend to our page. So we're able to reach this person through Facebook and through Twitter. So if you even don't know anything about your target, when you see the same person popping in two different places, then this person has to be strongly related to this target. So I'm going to convert this Facebook account entity to a person, to just a normal person. And as we know, this person is the same as this guy. So we're going to right click this guy and look for his Twitter friends. And as you can see, we get a number of Twitter friends, some of which are shared between this person and zSecurity. So again, this person has to be very related to zSecurity because he's showing up in two different places, and he also has common friends with the actual Twitter account of zSecurity. Now, going back to the Facebook entity of Zaid, we're gonna look for his Facebook friends. Now keep in mind, I'm actually a very paranoid person and I'm very conscious about what I want to share online. Same goes with zSecurity. So we only share what we really need to share, and you can still see how much information we can gather. So as you can see, I don't even have a profile picture on my Facebook account, and I don't even use Facebook. The only reason I have it there because I was working on some projects that I needed a Facebook account for, and I literally only have a few friends that I was working with. Therefore, if your target is actually interested in social media, or if they don't know much, or if they're not very careful about what they want to share online, you will get so much more information than what I'm getting right here. So as you can see, I discovered the Facebook friends of Zaid, and if we go now to the person entity of Zaid, right click it and look for websites related to this person, we will get three very interesting websites. I'm actually not going to go through all of them because this will drag on and we're going to go through layers and layers. But I'm going to focus on this particular one, my own blog. So I'm going to right click it and I'm going to look for email addresses. So this is pretty cool. I'm going to filter the useless information. And right now we have an email of this person that is popping up a lot. And we can see his email is zaid@isecurity.org. Now, based on this email, we're going to convert this to a domain. And from this domain, we're going to look for email addresses related to this domain. And perfect, we can see we got two more emails. One is Ahmed and the other one is m.asker@isecurity.org. Now, as you can see, iSecurity is already showing up as a Twitter friend. And then if we look for emails related to this domain, we will get two more emails. So these are possible friends or colleagues of Zaid. Let's sort this out a little bit. Now this is the time where you sit down, look at all the information you gathered so far, and try to come up with a useful attack strategy. Now I know so many of you guys will be able to get pretty good access without even using a keyboard, probably just by picking up a phone and making a few calls. That's not what we'll do though, so let's analyze the graph bit by bit and see how we can use this information to gain access to our target. So, looking at the information right here on the left, we can see that zSecurity is using Google as their mail server, they're using Cloudflare, and they're using name.com. We also can see that we can communicate with zSecurity by emailing them on info@zsecurity.org. So we can pretend to be a person from any of these companies, tell them that there is a new update or that we are switching them to a better subscription or a better account, or there is a policy change, give them a link. When they click on the link, we'll ask them to log in, and when they log in, we will get the password. So very, very simple and basic attack. I'm sure you've read and seen this done a lot, so I'm not gonna talk about it much, but you can see how useful this information can be. Moving on, we can see the red circles are the entities that we can contact, and the blue is what we can pretend to be when contacting the red circles. So we can pretend to be any of these people, contact Zaid or info, and tell them that there is a policy change, and again, give them a fake login, or give them a document that they might be interested in and gain access to their system. Let's have a look on how this might happen. So, following zSecurity.org to the domain name, to the Twitter account, to a Twitter friend called Exploit Database, we can see that this friend is shared between Zaid and zSecurity's Twitter page. So we're going to create a new graph, we're going to add a new domain entity, and this domain entity is going to be this common friend, which is exploitdb.com. From there, I'm going to look for email addresses, and one of the emails is actually very, very interesting, which is gotmilk@exploitdb.com. This email is also a Twitter friend, as you can see here. So, following the Twitter account to Zaid, to iSecurity, to Zaid's email, which is zaid@isecurity.org, we're going to communicate with Zaid pretending to be gotmilk. So, I'm going to use a very simple Python script to send a fake email and make it look as if it's sent from gotmilk@exploitdb.com, and we're going to send this to zaid@isecurity.org. And in this email, because we're pretending to be a person from another company, we're going to make this as attractive as possible to our target. So we're going to call it speaking opportunity. So it's something that Zaid is probably interested in. And in the message, we're going to say, hello Zaid, we are planning on hosting our first ethical hacking conference in Las Vegas on June 2019. I am contacting you because we are looking for speakers. If you're interested, please have a look on the following document for more information on the available topics. Regards, gotmilk. Again, we're trying to make it look as official as possible. And I forgot to paste the link here, so I'm going to paste it. And hit enter to send it. Now this is a basic mailer. I actually just put it in a Python script, so my credentials are hidden. Now let's go to the target Gmail account and see what this is going to look like. So as you can see, this message looks as if it is actually sent from gotmilk. So you can see gotmilk is showing up in here. If we hover over the entry, we can see his name. And then if we click on the link, again, you can see his name followed by his email, gotmilk@exploitdb.com. So it all looks very legit. And then if our target clicks on the link, they will get a zip file. Now, if we right click and uncompress this zip file, you'll get a file called topicsindex.pdf with a PDF extension. So all looks good, all looks very interesting to the target, but this is actually not a PDF. This is a backdoor with a PDF. So when you run it, the target will actually see a warning. And here is where social engineering is so important. You want to make sure that this warning will not stop your target from opening the file, either because he's too interested into opening this file or because they will just ignore it because they're not tech savvy. So if they run the file and ignore the warning, you'll see they'll get a normal PDF with the information they're looking for.
but at the same time, the hacker will receive a reverse connection on their machine. So if we do sysinfo, you'll see we'll get information about the target computer. If we do pwd, we can see our working directory. So right now, I can upload, download, edit, do anything the normal user can do on their system. And I'll show you more on this later. But I know right now some of you are thinking this is too basic and it won't fool a lot of users. So let's keep going and see more methods of gaining access to our target. So again, going back to the information we gathered, we can see Zaid is showing up 3 times in our graph. So we can use the entities Zaid is connected to gain access to his system. We can pretend to be Udemy, again send him something. We can pretend to be Muhammad Askar, which is a friend showing up in here. Or we can pretend to be one of these friends right here. So we'll go back to our Kali machine, our hacking machine. And this time we're gonna send an email pretending to be a friend. So we're gonna make it seem as if it's sent from Muhammad Askar at isecurity.org. Again to Zaid at isecurity.org. And keep in mind, this time we're pretending to be a friend. So we're gonna set the subject to something less formal. So we're just gonna say secure mailing app. And in the message, again, we're gonna keep it very informal, similar to any message you would get from a friend. So we're gonna say, hello Zaid, I've been working on a secure mailing app for a few days now. Still in very early stages, but I just want your opinion on it. Have a look and let me know what you think. You can download it from here and then give him a link to download the file. So we're sure that Muhammad Askar is Zaid's friend. They both have an email on the same domain, so they both have worked together. They are Twitter friends. They're both technical because they both have a domain of a security website. So this email is very, very appropriate. And I actually do get emails from Muhammad and send him emails asking him on his opinion, or he would ask me on my opinion on projects that we are working on. Another thing that I want to note in here, a very common question that I get is people ask me, okay, if I made a backdoor for Windows, how do I know that my target will open this file on Windows? And my answer is very simple. You are in control. So if you want your target to open your file on Windows, then send them a file format that can only, or that the target normally opens it in Windows. Or look at what we're doing here. We're sending the target an Android app. So they have to go on their phone. Even if they open this email on their computer, they will be, oh, okay, I want to test this app. So they will have to go to their phone. They will have to download this app on the phone to test it. So you control where they run it. All you have to do is just use the information that you know and that you gathered to direct them and make them do what you want them to do. So our target is gonna go and open the email from their phone. And as you can see, the email looks as if it's actually sent from Muhammad Askar. Let me actually look for a proper email sent from him. And as you can see here, the third one right here is an actual email that I got from Muhammad, and the first one is the spoofed email. And as you can see, they're identical. If we tap on the first one, you'll see we have the same message content. Again, it looks identical as if it's actually sent from Muhammad. It even says m.askar at isecurity.org. And if we click on the link, we will be able to download the app. And we have the app right here, downloading ProtonMail. I'm gonna click on the app to install it. And then we're gonna scroll down, install. And once this app is installed, if we open it, you will see we'll actually get a working app that the target can use to send secure emails. But if we go to the hacker machine, you'll see we got a reverse connection from that phone. And again, now we have full control over the phone and we can do anything the normal user can do on their phone. So we can get our working directory, we can list files, we can open the cam, we can do so much. For example, I can just do geolocate to find the location of this phone. So I'll get the longitude and the latitude, and then I can just plug these in and convert them to an address, and sure enough, I will get the location of my target. Creepy stuff, I know. It gets creepier though. We can even turn on the cam, like I said. So I can do webcam list to list the available cameras, and then I can do webcam stream I2 to open the front camera. And here we go. Now I know this is not very useful in real life scenarios, but it just goes to show you that we can literally do anything the normal user can do on their device. What's actually useful is the fact that we can dump all the contacts on the phone. This will save it into a file, and then we can just read this file and see all the contacts saved on the target phone. So you can see how this would expand our information gathering graph, because we can add each one of these people as an entity and then gather even more information about this person. Or we can use this person to further exploit our target, or we can use our target as a pivot and hack into one of these other people. It doesn't stop at the contacts. We can even dump the call log. This will show us the closest contacts to our target, the people that he regularly calls or communicates with. So we can see here we have a missed call from this number. We have an outgoing call to a person named Adrian, and again we have his number. Now it doesn't stop at that. We even have access to all the messages, and we can read and send messages from this phone. Now this can be very, very useful because you can gain access to most online accounts using the phone number. For example, if we just go to Google and put the email of the address that you want to log in, for example zaid.alk@gmail.com, and then click on the forgot password option, and then say whatever you get, keep saying try another, and as you can see, you'll get an option to send a verification code to a phone number. Now, since we have access to this phone number, we can literally just read the code and access the target account. So you can use this to gain access to Google, Facebook, Twitter, and even WhatsApp. So regardless of whether WhatsApp uses encryption or not, you can easily use this to gain access to the phone, and you'll read everything because you're getting proper access. You're not really decrypting any information, you're not really intercepting anything. So all you'll have to do is literally go and install WhatsApp on another phone, open the app. It's gonna ask you for your phone number, the phone number that you want to log in with. You're gonna put the phone number of your target. Then WhatsApp is gonna send a verification code to that phone. Now you already have access to this phone, so all we have to do is dump SMS. It's gonna download all the messages from this phone to your Kali machine, read the messages, and as you can see right here, we have the access code from Google that you can use to gain access to your target account without knowing the password. And if we scroll up a little bit, you'll see we have an incoming message from WhatsApp and we have the access code. So all we have to do now is go back to our phone, put this access code, and we're in. It's gonna ask you for your name, just put anything, hit next, and we're inside the WhatsApp account of the target phone. So as you can see, we can pretty much use the phone just like the normal user. Now, we delivered this backdoor by sending a fake email to your target. If you think that's not going to work, then again, we can go back to our graph and use the information that we gathered so far to gather even more information. So we can pretend to be any of these entities and just communicate with Zaid or with zSecurity and ask them for Zaid's phone number. Tell them you have business with him or you want him to do something, you have some work with him, and they will probably give you his phone number. Then from there, once you have the phone number, you can pretend to be one of his friends and send him a text message this time, and again ask him to install an application. So let's see this in action. Right here I'm going to use again another simple Python script to send spoof SMSs, and again I'm literally just using the script to hide my phone number and to hide my credentials. So we're going to make this SMS to seem as if it's sent from Adrian. This is one of the Facebook friends we discovered. We're going to set it to my phone number. We're going to set the message to hey, and again keep in mind this time it's not even an email, it's an SMS and it's sent from a friend. So it needs to be short and it needs to be super casual. So we're just going to say, hey, check out this secure mailing app I made. Still in beta, I just want your opinion. Download it from here, give him the link, and then when this is sent to the target, it's gonna appear like a proper message coming from Adrian. So as you can see, we get a notification of a message from a guy named Adrian, and if we go to my inbox, as you can see here, the first message is a spoofed message from Adrian, and the second message is an actual message from my friend Adrian. And as you can see, it's very hard to distinguish between the two. So we're gonna click on the first one, the spoofed one, and as you can see, a very casual message of a friend telling me to test an app that they have been working on. I will probably open that app. I'm not gonna click on that link because you already know what happens when I download and install this app. Now yesterday, you actually got a message from the management asking you to sign the back of your badges. How many of you have signed it? Yeah, so now I'm sorry to tell you that that message was not from the management, it was actually from me, and you can see how dangerous this could be, because instead of saying that, I could have just said download this conference app where you can see the whole schedule and everything, and I'm sure everybody who signed it here would have probably downloaded that app. And you know what would have happened if you downloaded that app. Now, if you think all of this is still very suspicious and won't fool your target, or if you think it's not a good idea to directly communicate with your target, then there are a number of methods that you can get your target to do something without directly communicating with them. So again, looking at the information that we gathered, we can see we have a website, zsecurity.org right here, and we have a YouTube channel of this website. Now, if this website uses Google Analytics and YouTube by default uses Google Analytics, we can use a really smart method discovered by a very smart guy named Tyler Razani, where we can send fake referrals to this website, hoping that the admin will be curious about where these referrals are coming from. Then, when he clicks on one of these links, he will land on a page with evil code where we will be able to exploit their system. Let me show you how this is done. So right here, I have the Facebook page of zSecurity that we managed to discover from Maltego. And if I just view the source of this page and look for analytics, you'll see we'll find the Google Analytics code for this website. So this is all we'll need to send fake referrals to this website. I'm going to use the script made by Tyler Razani, and I'm going to put the ID of my target put the URL, put the target channel or the website if it was a website, and I'm gonna put the website that the referral will see it's coming from. Right now for testing I'm just using an IP address, but you can use a proper domain name of your fake website. Before running this, let me show you the Google Analytics dashboard of this particular account. So if I click on real-time overview, you will see the real-time visitors right now on my YouTube channel, and as you can see, it's 0. Now, if I run the Python code, and we're gonna say yes, send it in a loop please, and we'll send this in every 4 seconds. You'll see we'll start getting visitors right now to the website. So right now we're not spamming the website. This traffic is showing up as referrals to the website. So this is good traffic that web admins love to see coming to their website. Some people even pay money to get referrals. So if you're a web admin and you see you're getting a ton of visitors from this particular website, you're probably gonna be curious about this website and why it's sending you traffic. Now, if you click on this website, you will get a normal website. As you can see right here, it's just my blog, but at the same time, it's running evil code at the background. And as you can see, it's asking the target to update their Firefox. If the target clicks on this update bar, they will get a normal Firefox installer that will actually update their system. So you'll be doing them a favor. But at the same time, this executable will run evil code at the background, sending a reverse connection to our hacking machine. So as you can see right here, we get a reverse connection to that computer. And again, like I said, right now I have full control over the computer and I can do anything the normal user can do. Now, if you think that everything that I showed you so far is still suspicious and still won't fool your target, even if you don't communicate with them directly like I just showed you, then there are still a lot of methods to get in. So again, going back to our graph, we can see our targets, Zaid and zSecurity, are linked to 2 interesting platforms, YouTube and Udemy. Now obviously you can actually pretend to be other platforms when doing this. So what you could do is you could communicate with either Zaid or zSecurity and tell them that they've been doing really good on their platform, and because of that you're gonna send them some presents, some merchandise or a USB device, and then when they connect it you will get access to their system. Now YouTube and Udemy actually do this. When you do well on their system, they will send you presents to motivate you and help you work more. They won't backdoor it, but they will send you stuff. So you're not really being suspicious. The device that you would send them would be something similar to this. So this is a USB ducky, which would run a key strike injection attack. So basically, when you connect this device to a computer, it will register itself as a keyboard, not as a USB device, and then it will literally type any code you want really fast on that computer. So you can program it to create a reverse connection and send it to you. You can program it to download and execute something, and so on. Now, if you think sending a USB device is too suspicious, then you can actually disguise this device into anything that plugs through USB. So you can backdoor a fridge, a lamp, a mouse, a Hoover, anything that plugs through USB. And I actually brought a few toys in here for you to play and see. Don't worry, they won't run any payloads, they will just show a message to you. So you can see how dangerous this can be. So again, you can pretend to be YouTube, Udemy, or any other company that your target works with, and tell them you're sending this as a present because they're doing well or you're on your platform, or because they're a VIP customer, or you can even walk in and give it to the secretary or to someone who is not very technical and just tell them this has been sent to them from X company or from X entity. Let me show you an example of this. I'm using a USB device that uses a board designed by a very smart man named Luca. The cool thing about this is it has a Wi-Fi chip, so I can remotely control it once it's connected to a computer. We've actually modified the software a little bit and we want to add more features to it, so this is in very beta stages, but it will have some really cool features once we're done with it. So the computer on the right is a Windows computer with the USB cactus connected to it, and on the left I have my phone where I can remotely control this computer. So as you can see, I can press any key strike from here. For example, I can press the Win key to open the Windows menu. I can do Control R to run, and then I can literally type anything I want. So for example, I can just type hey, and as you can see, it's being typed in there. Now this is not very useful. Let's do something useful. So I'm gonna go to the payloads menu, and as you can see, I have a number of ready payloads for different operating systems. And if I just click on run right here, you'll see it'll type the code very fast. And if we go back to the hacker machine, as you can see, I received a reverse connection. So I can interact with it, and then I can get the system information or do anything the normal user can do again on their system. So we're running out of time, so I can't really talk much right now, but let's get into security. How can we prevent such attacks? Because as we've seen, so far we really haven't been exploiting any vulnerabilities, we haven't been exploiting any system specific applications. We have been relying on social engineering and using backdoors that would bypass antivirus programs. So what can we do to prevent this? The simple answer is education. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be using antivirus programs, you shouldn't be using firewalls and all of that. All of these are great. You should keep using them. But using them does not mean that you're very secure, because the weakest link, which is your employees, are still very vulnerable if they're not educated about security. So you want to educate them and show them how hackers can gain access to your networks and to your system. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys, if not all of you, will not fall for the things that I just showed you, and will think twice before opening a message, even if it seems like it's coming from a friend. Will think twice before clicking or downloading or doing anything that could compromise their system. Now, you might also think that the emails and the spoofed SMSs that I was sending seemed very legitimate. How are you going to know the difference? And the answer is, you are correct. It is very hard to see the difference. But if you get an email or a message asking you to do something, to download or click on a link or put some credentials, verify this link is coming from that person. So anytime, even if it's not through email, even if it's through some other method of communication, if you're asked to give out some sensitive info or to do something that you think could compromise your system, then the first thing you should do is verify the person that's requesting you to do this, and verify it through another medium. So if you got an email asking you to download something or to click on something, then call that person or send an SMS to that person and check if it's them asking you. And vice versa, if you're being contacted over the phone, then send an email. So even if the hacker is not actually sending you a spoofed email, even if he is sending you a legit email from your friend's email because he hacked into your friend's email, you will know because you're going to call your friend. You're not going to communicate with him over the email. So verify using another medium. And if you absolutely had to open that file or click that link, then talk to your IT department. get them to analyze that file, analyze that link before you can do anything with it. Now I'm actually really running out of time now. I need to get off the stage quickly, but I'm just gonna say this very quick. As a domain owner, you can prevent mail spoofing by properly configuring SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records. The result of this, even if a hacker sends a spoofed email using the method that I was using, the email will not be delivered in the inbox, it will be delivered in the spam, and when you open the email, you will see a big warning like this one right here. So this is the result of me trying to spoof an email from Cloudflare because they properly implemented these records. Now, a statistic done in 2018 showed 96% of websites did not implement these 3 records properly, which means that hackers can send emails and make them seem as if they're sent from any of these domains. A lot of domain owners implement SPF, which specifies which IPs can send emails from a certain domain. And then when the email is delivered, for example, when the email is delivered to Gmail, Gmail will check SPF and see if the domain is actually coming from the list of the allowed IPs. If a hacker is doing a spoofing attack, then the email will not be coming from the specified IPs. But the problem is, most of these domain owners do not implement DKIM and DMARC. DMARC is the record that tells Google or whatever email the user is using what to do if the message fails SPF and DKIM. So, if a message fails SPF, Google will not know what to do with it unless DMARC is implemented. And most domain owners, like I said, 96% of them do not implement DMARC, which means Google will not know what to do with the messages that fail SPF, and therefore it'll deliver it into the inbox anyway. That's why hackers can send emails and make them seem as if they're sent from any other domain. About, like I said, 96% of domains on the internet. Now, I'm actually over the time. I'm sorry, we don't have any time for any questions, but I'm gonna stick around here for until the end of the conference. So feel free to come in and just ask or discuss anything that we spoke about here or anything related to security really. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.